All right, everybody, welcome out to the UFC, right? It's Sports Unlimited. We're going to be talking about the UFC 263 fight that occurred this past Saturday. It was a good one. Val, my side kick, is here with me. It's Monday evening. We were going to do it on Sunday, but Val was out of town, so we rescheduled it for Monday evening. So here we are. Val's with me. Val, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just wonderful. Yeah, ready to discuss that fight. It was a good night, very night was full of fireworks.
It was good. And of course, this is the first time that Val also made his predictions on the 365 Sports Unlimited podcast, and he's going to be doing this every time we're covering fights. And so this was the first time. It was really good. I think it's something that's going to pick up. I enjoyed. I'm going to be joining in this predictions on the next fight on July 10th, I believe, with the 264 that's going to be coming up. But tonight we're going to break down the fights at the main event card, the 263. And it was a good one. And so, Val, if you're ready, we're ready to break it down. This is, again, episode 6, UFC 263. And I'm going to start off, Val, with the first one, which was the first fight that took place on the main event, which was Paul Craig. He came in to the fight at 15-4-1. He was going to fight Jamahal Hill. We talked about Jamahal. He only had a few professional fights, but he was undefeated, so he's up and coming. Craig gets the win over Hill. If I'm saying this correctly, it was on a TKO round 1, so it didn't last very long. Or was it round 1 or was it round 2?
It was round 1. It was over 159, so about 2 minutes into the first.
So go ahead and kind of break this fight down. You actually predicted, I think it was
Hill.
Paul. It was Hill, yes. He's young, but go ahead and break that fight down.
Yeah, well, the reason for my prediction was I knew that Craig was durable. I knew that he was going to last. I knew that he's a fighter, and I'd never counted him out. I did say he possibly could win, but I had actually thought he would catch Hill with something maybe up against the fence, but he showed that his jiu-jitsu, we didn't know that Craig does jiu-jitsu, and we sure do know now. Seemed like he was that's what he was looking for, right here. This fight was only two minutes long. As a light heavyweight fight. They were fighting at 205. Right away, Hill starts coming in, he's filling shots, Craig's filling them out right now. They're just looking for timings, getting rhythms. And then right away, we see Craig start to take him down. Well, Hill manages to get on top, but Craig shows that, hey, just because he's on the bottom, that don't mean, nothing, because he grabbed an arm. What happened is he locked his leg with like a leg triangle lock. As soon as he had that, he grabbed the arm and torqued it long enough to where it just kind of snapped. A lot of people thought it broke, but the referee stopped it. I think the referee could have stopped it a little sooner, but it looked like maybe, I always give the benefit of the doubt, maybe he didn't, wrong angle, something like that. But and this shows a lot about Craig, because one of my concerns in the last podcast is he has wins, yes, and he even has wins over a former UFC champion, but one could say that he's well past his prime, and that so he hadn't his Craig's last fights. I didn't think that he had fought high caliber enough opponents, but with this first round finish of Hill, that that's really impressive. I say, if he wasn't fighting high caliber people then, he gonna fight now. I feel like now he'll get definitely a more well-known name. Hill, I was betting on I predicted him. I was betting on his punches. I knew that Craig, had a chance, but I gave it to Hill because I knew he had power, but he just didn't get to find his rhythm in this time. Craig was too advanced for him. Craig took him, as soon as he pretty much went to the ground, that was a wrap. Hill, last minute, desperately trying to rain some bombs on him. I've seen it to where some guys know that they got a few seconds and they just kind of hope for a Hail Mary, right? Well, that didn't happen. Craig broke his arm, but it wasn't a break. They said it was a dislocated. It was a dislocated, like, shoulder or elbow or something, and it just looked kind of broken, but
but look, that's okay, because Hill only has 8 professional fights. I mean, he's still up and coming. He's still learning. He hasn't even hit his prime. So this was, I think, a good fight for Hill. Even though he lost, now he knows he fought a guy that had 15 wins, a little bit more experienced than he is, right? So this was, I think, a good fight. Even though he lost, he can go back and take a look. He's still got a lot to learn, but I think we're going to be hearing more about Hill in the years to come because, again, you know, 8 professional fights, his first professional loss. So I think he's going to learn from this fight. We're going to be hearing about this guy more in the years to come, I believe. Now we go to the welterweight fight with Muhammad at 19-3. Fighting Demian Maia at 28-11. Muhammad defeated Maia in a decision. I believe you picked Maia but by decision, and it was a decision. It just went the other way around. Kind of break that fight down for us.
Well, I was right here. My prediction for this one was Demian Maia decision. I thought he'd be able to outscore him, maybe control him, take him down. This guy's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world. Sad to see that he wasn't able to do it. You know, you got to give a lot of credit to Muhammad. The fact in that first round when Demian got him down, boom, right back up, just showed the skill, the strength. And I think maybe Demian should have waited a little longer, maybe try to get him down in the second. Stand up with him a little. I mean, he was throwing some decent shots, Maia was, but throughout the fight, overall, you know, Muhammad just proved too overwhelming. You know, he was striking him. He was really able to avoid the takedowns. And I had said in the podcast before that really was his keys to victory, and he did it, and he executed it perfectly. He avoided the takedown, never let Maia get control of him. Every time I had him against the fence, you think, oh, maybe he could find a way to get this takedown, get control of his hips, he couldn't even drag him down. And maybe if, you know, I always like to say in the first round, you know, they're not sweaty, they're like less greasy and stuff. Maybe Maia shot too soon and the grip, instead of his advantage, it went to Muhammad, and Muhammad was stronger than Demian, right? And I think that's what we saw there. And he just picked them apart little by little. I think had the fight gone on, you know, I think Maia still would have been losing. He's in the twilight of his career. I mean, this guy, he's like 44, 43 years old. And he was saying that he wants to fight again, but I think this is his last contract. I think this was his last fight. And on his contract, and the president Dana White said that he don't think he's going to fight again. Usually when he says something, you know, he might not, you know, so sometimes he says stuff and sometimes it'll come true and stuff, but I feel like they're not going to renew his contract. I did read an article with Demian Maia saying that he wanted to try to fight Nate Diaz. That's coming from him. I don't know. But I think it's a long shot, but you know, in this crazy world, anything's possible, right? But moving along to Muhammad, you gotta, you know, appreciate what this young man has did. The fact that he was able to go the distance with Demian, outpoint him, outscore him, avoid the takedown says a lot about this young man. I can't wait to see who that he's gonna face next in this welterweight division. I'm pretty sure he took Damian's ranking, which I'm pretty sure Demian was above him. I think that he's gonna fight some top level guys here pretty soon. We're gonna have to watch out for Muhammad.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see where Muhammad goes. Great win for him. We'll see what happens with Demian Maia. He wants to fight again. You're talking about, you know, maybe his career is over. We'll keep an eye on that in the next few weeks to see what happens to Demian Maia. Next on the list, we had the welterweight fight on the main card. We had Leon Edwards at 19-3 going up against Nate Diaz, 21-13. You predicted that Nate Diaz would get a third round TKO. Leon Edwards defeated Nate Diaz, but this was by a decision. So even though Nate lost, I mean, he was still in there. And you talked about how this guy's a warrior. He's not scared. I mean, he brings it every time he fights. It was no different this time, but he does lose the fight to a decision. Kind of break it down and let us know what happens. Where does Nate Diaz go from here?
Right here. This is going to be real interesting to talk about because we know, and I said before, how grittiness and how tough and durable Nate Diaz is. He might be losing the fight, but at the end of the fight, he comes back, and that's exactly what happened. Leon Edwards was cutting him up, outscoring him, coming in. Leon Edwards was connecting faster on the feet than Diaz. Diaz was trying to mock him, trying to bait him, doing whatever Diaz does throughout the fight. He's over here giving his back, trying to distract Leon Edwards to try to come in so he can come in and catch him off guard. But, you know, if you've been following Nate Diaz, you know that this is what he does, and this is his onda, right? So he basically he's losing 1-4. He comes back with a big shot in the first, but let me tell you about it leading up to it. in the first round, you know, we got Nate Diaz over here trying to bait him, but he's not buying it. Leon Edwards knows what's at stake. He knows that he can't, you get called, that Nate's just trying to play with him. And so Leon Edwards, he's way past this. You know, I mean, we know that Leon's conditioning was good. I didn't see a problem with it there. I had said before that with Nate, his conditioning is good, but the longer the fight goes, you've seen him come back, and that's exactly what happened here. Leon Edwards, I believe he cut Nate Diaz open in the third. He had a huge gash on the side of his head, but sometimes they look worse than what they are. You know, a lot of fight, you know, for the fans, it's like, oh, that's crazy. But fighters, you know, they get cut and they say, oh, tis but a scratch, right? The leg kicks were damaging Diaz. Leon Edwards was doing some leg kicks throughout the fight too. So Diaz had to kind of adjust as the fight's going on. So pretty much, I mean, 1 through 4, it's all Leon Edwards. He was outscoring him, coming in faster. I had said Leon Edwards was going to be faster. That's exactly what we saw. And I mean, Diaz was able to he was trying to get a rear naked choke, but Edwards but it was defended. So we didn't get that. But Nate Diaz did come back in the fifth, a huge shot, and you know, that's pretty much what we see. Where he goes from here, we don't know. I had read an article saying that just because Leon Edwards won, Nate Diaz still possibly stole the night, you know. So I just think that's pretty crazy. You know, you see a guy get a win, you think, oh, this is going to propel him. But Nate Diaz is such a legend. He's such a star. The fans love him. So the UFC knows, well, he's a big money maker too. You know, yeah. He's gonna come and if people see him, he's gonna fight. So you definitely know that the next fight, it's probably gonna be somebody big, definitely big. And maybe it won't even be a regular fight on the card. Maybe it'll be a co-main or a main, because this is the kind of stuff that Nate Diaz pulls and that Nate Diaz draws.
Well, but I think that, you know, when you go with Nate Diaz, I mean, it's good fight. You know, people love to see it. Win or lose, he brings it. He brings the fight, and people love that. People are going to pay to see that. You know, he lost this by decision, right? But he threw some fights. I mean, taking the shots that you take, right, and then you're still coming back and you're fighting. People love that. People love that. People don't really see the loss that he does, but it's look at him, man, this guy's throwing blows. You can hit him and hit him and hit him, and he keeps coming, right? He doesn't just fall. So, you know, going the distance, even though you're losing decision, but the way he's fighting, what he brings to the table, people love. So as long as he's doing that and he can continue to do that, people are going to want to watch him fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Nate Diaz goes from here. We'll keep an eye on him to see what the UFC is going to do with him, even though he lost. Leon Edwards, 19-3. I mean, he did everything he was supposed to do, and he beat Nate Diaz. So we'll see what happens with him moving up. But this was a great fight. Even though Nate Diaz lost, he put on a great performance on Saturday night, right? So now we go to the co-main event, which was the flyweight, which was Brandon Moreno at 19, 5-2, going up against Figueiredo, 22-1. This one was a really good one. Brandon, you said both of them had speed. Brandon Moreno, man, he put on a show, man. He got the win. It was exciting afterwards. Man, this guy, he put the work in, and he was rewarded with the win, you know, round 3 by submission. It was great. Kind of break this down. I know that you said that Brandon, I think your prediction was that Brandon Moreno would win by decision. He did win it, but it was by submission. Kind of break it down, man, because Brandon Moreno really looked good in this fight.
Man, and yeah, I definitely had said in the last podcast, I want to say again that I saw something in him. I saw a light. He is the new flyweight 125 champion, and Figueiredo's a bad dude. The fact that he did it is impressive. I thought that I knew he could make the adjustments to beat Figueiredo, but to see Figueiredo fall the way that he did in that clear fashion, dominant by Brandon Moreno, I just feel like that is so crazy. I did not see that one coming. I'm sure a lot of people didn't either. The first round right here, we got them going at it. Brandon Moreno does keep true to his word. He said, I'm going to be more aggressive. I'm going to come for it. And he was throwing some shots. Figueiredo was more hesitant in the first round. It's almost as if he felt that power, knew that this kid came to fight. And some people were saying in the first fight, hey, Figueiredo, that's why they gave Figueiredo a chance in the second fight. I had read some critics. They were saying in the first fight, man, Figueiredo, he thought lightly of Moreno. He didn't think that but then in the third quarter, he said, man, this kid came to fight. The deeper the fight went on, he said, I not. So some people were saying, hey, Figueiredo, look, like now he's, after the 6 months, they gave him some time. Now Figueiredo's going to let everybody know that, hey, he's going to beat Brandon Moreno. But Moreno said, no, he broke a record. He's the first Mexican champion. So whenever he was fighting there in the second round, he starts to strike more, Figueiredo. You can see he's definitely hesitant from that first fight. It's almost like he felt him too. Figueiredo tries to come in with a takedown, but he gets it on him, but Moreno's head, but he gets out. And then in the third round, he gets taken down in the beginning of the third round. So I guess in between that second round, that's when Brandon Moreno said, hey, we're going to do something big here. He gets the rear naked choke at the beginning of the third round, but he doesn't submit him yet. He has the leg triangles locked. And what that does is that keeps Figueiredo from turning into him and getting top of position, or it keeps him from just hip escaping, playing out and just trying to scramble out. So once Moreno has that in, all he needs is to get that wrist sunk it in, and he couldn't, because that's a bad spot. When you're in that spot, Figueiredo, all that's going to save him really is he's kind of got to just get hit wrist control. So he knew that. So he's grabbing Moreno's hands. So what does Moreno do? He starts tapping him just so he can get him to move. When he gets that right spot, he sinks the arm, round 3 submission. I'm right there. Like I said, I think that's crazy. Figueiredo, all due respect to him, he's a bad dude. I'm sure that he's gonna be winning some fights in the future for sure. I knew Moreno was gonna take it, but just to show that in that dominant fashion, I thought it was gonna be a decision, go the whole 25 minutes, and then Moreno was gonna outscore him, pick him apart. In the first fight, they both were on the ground and they just got back up. The first fight, it was more of a kickboxing match. It wasn't really every time they got taken down. It was a few times, but they just shot right back up. I expected the same. I said, okay, they're both good. It's almost like an unstoppable force meets a non-moving object. I probably said that all wrong, but it's almost like that. These guys were both fast, they were both quick, both good conditioning, and Moreno definitely made the adjustments from that first fight to come and take the belt away, and he's our new flyweight champion. And then submission.
Yeah, and definitely, and I'm happy for Moreno. Figueiredo, great fighter. He'll be back, right? Both of these fighters. Yeah, and I said this was going to be a very good fight, and it was, man. And I'm just happy for Moreno. He put the work in. He knew what he was doing. He came in with a game plan, executed it, and it all worked out. Be a very good fighter, right? So now we'll see as we move forward what's next for Moreno. Where would Figueiredo go? Will these two guys meet up again this would be a third fight, right? Because this was the second fight between these two. So it'd be interesting if these guys fight again. I like to see a third fight between these guys. I mean, I think they're both good fighters. They're both at the top of their game. And so we'll see what happens, but a great win for Brandon Moreno, man. It was great to see him win this one. And then again, we go to the main event of the night, which was the middleweight. Israel Adesanya 21-1, Marvin Vettori 15-5-1. You predicted that Marvin Vettori would win by decision. It did go to a decision, but it went the other way to Adesanya. So you were right there with the decision. I think I'm saying this correctly. Break this fight down for us.
Well, yeah. Well, my decision was I thought Vittori was going to win a decision on Adesanya. I really thought Vittori was going to be able to control him, use his strength to his advantage, because even though Adesanya is tall and maybe got the reacher on him, I really believe that Vittori was going to have the strength advantage there. But Adesanya proved that, he knew the takedowns were the weakness. He did not want anything to do with the ground, and he really showed it there. He did all the keys to his victory right too, which was to keep this on the feet, make don't let Vettori figure him out, and he's a really hard puzzle to crack and avoid the takedowns. And that's what he did in the first fight. In the first round, they stand about maybe a minute and 30. Vettori tries to shoot, never really finding the timing, especially, and this is throughout the fight too. He keeps trying to go for this takedown. We knew that he was going to come in with this wrestling heavy plan because that is what we saw seen. That is the hole in Israel Adesanya's armor. But Israel just showed that he is just a level above Vettori, and Vettori just wasn't really quite there yet. Once he couldn't get the takedown, Israel started picking him apart. Had this fight gone on, it definitely looked like Israel was outscoring Vettori. I mean, total strike percentage for Israel was about 58.7. 43.1 for Vittori. So, I mean, usually in the judges' scorecard, it's like punches and then grappling and then control in that order. So Israel already has this big advantage considering that there were no I think Vittori got 4 takedowns. I was going to say no takedowns, but I think he got 4, but it wasn't anything to hold, nothing stick. Israel was able to maneuver himself and to be able to get out and reverse it. And in this fight, that's pretty much just how it went. Vettori was never able to find his rhythm. He's getting picked apart by Adesanya, and Adesanya just proved, hey, he's here to stay. What's next for Vettori? I'm not too sure. He's gonna probably fight down. I don't think this Israel versus Vettori 2. I think it's gonna stay this way, but there could be a trilogy fight in the future. All Vettori got to do is maybe win one, devastate one more fight in devastating fashion, or maybe 2, and he could possibly be right back up there again. Being so close to the ranking. I think he's number 3. Sometimes they can move and adjust with the way that their system works, but for as of now, I think he's still 3, and so he has a good chance. He might fight down, but he has a good chance. And with Israel, I think Whittaker's going to fight Israel next, and that's the big question here is what's next for Israel now that he coming off of a loss. He defeated Vittori now in a title fight. Now he's going to be trying to come back stronger than ever now that he's back on his feet. Now he's got his fire burning. He's got his fuel back. Saying Whittaker's next in line, I agree completely because I think Whittaker is going to be a good fight with him. I think he does pose a threat. Israel would never admit to anything, right? But I do think that Whittaker would be a good matchup for.
Well, we will see what happens, right? But this was a good card bout. Thank you very much for breaking this down for us. I mean, I enjoyed it, and like I said, we're gonna be doing this on the 365 consistently. Our next big bout is going to be July the 10th. I believe I'm saying that correctly. I don't have it written down, but it's July 10th. It's going to be the main event. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. We'll be breaking that down next Sunday. We'll be back next Sunday. I believe it'll be in the evening again. And we will start to break down UFC 264 here on the 365. We'll definitely talk Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. That's a big fight coming. This is their 3rd fight. And then I've seen some other fights that we'll break down that's already been on that card. Of course, we'll talk about the main event. So that's going to be interesting. It doesn't give us a lot of time, just a couple of weeks before that fight comes up. We'll start breaking that fight down this Sunday coming up. Tune in to the 365 as we start to talk about and preview the fights that'll be on UFC 264. But listen, this one was great. We broke it down for a couple of weeks. We hyped it up. We came in, we broke this fight down. Your record goes 1-4, not too bad. It's first time, right? But we're going to continue. I'm going to jump in on the I'm going to have a prediction for the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. I'm going to kind of wait a little bit before I go on that because I still got to get to know these fighters.
For sure.
But this really helps out about to know and be able to read up on these guys and see the fights. I'm starting to like the UFC. I'm really enjoying what we're doing here. I've got some ideas how we can better this podcast, but I'm loving what we're doing. It's exciting. I think people that love UFC can chime in either on our podcast if they want to be a guest, or they can comment from our pages, and they can see obviously our podcast through our YouTube channel, Coast to Coast Sports, Coast to Coast Sports on the YouTube channel, or you can go into our Facebook and Twitter page and go to the 365. So it was interesting, Val. I enjoyed it. Great fights. I'm looking forward to this one coming up in July. It's going to be another good one. It's going to be exciting. We got a lot to talk about coming up this Sunday with Dustin and Connor. There's a lot to talk about there. We've already broke it down these last few weeks, kind of like, but we're really going to get into the teeth of this fight, get into the really nitty gritty as to what's going to happen. How can Connor, beat Dustin? How can Dustin beat Connor? It's going to be very interesting. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm really excited, and then we'll also break down some of the other cards that will be on that main event. So this was great. I really appreciate it. And as I always do here on 365, I will give you the last word before we end this podcast. Anything you'd like to say?
No, just stay safe, have fun out there. I always have fun talking about the fights and bringing the fights. I think it's going good, and it's always a good time. Talking about the fights. So
absolutely, and we're gonna get better at this. We're gonna bring in some guests. We're gonna bring in another guy. I mean, I'm really excited about this. It's a lot of fun to come in and talk this UFC. I think people, as they start to hear about us, I know a lot of people don't really know we're doing this, but I'm starting to put it up on the Coast to Coast pages. Starting to put it on the 365. So I think as we continue to be consistent, people will hear about this. They'll see that we're consistent. They'll see that we're coming on once a week. They'll see what we're going to be breaking down. We're putting up the polls. I know there wasn't a lot of people that voted, but as we continue to be consistent with this stuff, and I think that's the main thing, just being consistent with what we're doing and adding a thing here or there every time, I think people will start to like it. They'll say, hey, these guys are here to stay, and they'll get more involved. And as we get more people involved in stuff, we bring in some certain guests and we hear commentating. I think this will get a lot better as we continue, because we're going to be breaking down these fights all year long as they're being signed, as they're being put together, and we see that. We come on our podcast and we break it down. And of course, you're the guy that knows more about the UFC than I do, but I'm learning. And I think as I continue to do this and learn more, I'll be able to add certain things and might give my opinion. Kind of been a little quiet because I'm learning right now, but it's exciting. I'm happy to be doing this. And throughout the week, man, I get on that UFC and I what's going on, who's saying what, this Vettori and Adesanya, man, right before the fight, man, they got into it. I think they threw water bottles at each other. I don't know. I saw some of that people. So it was a good hype, but whether they're hyping it up or they really feel like that, it makes for good fighting. So all that stuff is exciting to watch. And then you get to come on the podcast and break it down. It's awesome, man. So yes, man, it was great. Listen, this will be uploaded tonight here in about another hour or two. Then you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel, Coast to Coast Sports, or you can go to our 365 Sports Unlimited Twitter page or the Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it. So Val, I had a great time, man. Thank you for joining us. It was a little short because we just wanted to break it down, but next week, Val and I will be back this upcoming Sunday, and we'll be talking and previewing the UFC 264 featuring the main event, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and other fights that'll be on the main card. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to talking about that and kind of previewing that fight that leads up. That fight is to take place July 10th, just a few weeks away. So anything else, pal?
No, I think that'll do it, man. It was real good. I can't wait for this next fight. We're gonna have some good fighters. We're gonna be talking about Gilbert Burns. Gonna be talking about Sean O'Malley. He's up and comer. It's gonna be some good Stephen Thompson. Former title challenger. And of course, Conor McGregor and Dustin. Big fight. So it's gonna be
and don't forget, guys. And we're keeping that track. If we see anything, any signing, anything that's close to being signing with any of these guys, we'll keep a track of these champions, Brandon Moreno, Vettori, Adesanya, all these guys, Nate Diaz. As we start to see things, we'll also be breaking these guys, these fights down on our weekly podcast. As we start to think and we start to see who they might be fighting, who their next opponent might be and stuff, we'll be bringing it all to you right here on the 365 Sports Unlimited. So until Sunday, Val, thanks a lot, man. I had a great time. I'm looking forward to doing it again this upcoming Sunday. I will see you Sunday evening, man. Until then, take care. And like we do always here on the 365 Sports Unlimited, man, peace out. And I will see you on Sunday.
Yep. See ya.